it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, November 17th. Okay, so we have the moon in Gemini energy here all day. However, the moon is going to go void, of course, 11:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be locking into Cancer energy, the moon's rulership, of course, always kind of bringing up the feels for the collective. But we won't be moving into that Cancer energy until 3:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time early Monday morning. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of gap at the end of the day, bridging the gap into tomorrow where things are shaky, unstable, uncertain, where our head space is all over the place, our heart space jumping around trying to keep up. We are definitely going to have a lot of different perspectives pop off here today. If you haven't listened to the Ascension forecast for this week, I'm definitely going to recommend you do that. I go into a little bit more depth and detail where the wackadoodle energies are building, where the liftoff energy is taking us here this week, and of course the physical symptoms that we can expect to experience with those energy shifts. A lot of the energy this week is going to be focused on the mental plane. There is going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of perspective shifting, and with some of the energies popping off here today, we're definitely going to start dipping our toe into that mental plane pool. So with all of that being said, there are 12 different aspects popping off here today. 10 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon in this Gemini energy going to make a very awkward interaction with Pluto, who of course is at the very final degrees of Capricorn energy. Gemini energy, Capricorn energy find it very hard to kind of meet in the middle. Commonalities definitely are very sparse. We are focused mostly on the differences and of course feeding off of yesterday's Sun and Uranus opposition. The differences are what we need to focus on in order for us to figure out the plan, the strategy needed in order to bridge that gap. The moon and Pluto definitely joining forces in order to flip the script in not the most favorable ways. We do definitely have to be aware of our negative narratives where we're focused on the differences, where we're focused on things not working instead of focusing on the things that are. Because we have to kind of unearth the darker parts of our psyche in order to flip the script in a more favorable way, this is definitely going to intensify tunnel vision where it is that our negative narratives definitely need a little bit of improvement. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with that North Node in Aries energy, trying to get us on the right path, trying to get us in alignment with our soul's mission, with our soul's potential. We're definitely seeing options and opportunities for growth, for expansion, for new experiences. And of course, the Gemini energy being a mutable sign, down for that change. However, we are also starting to see where it is that the to-do list of where it is we need to close the door, cut the attachments with certain people, places, and things, getting a little bit long in the, let's call it, realization of where it is that we want to be. There are many things that we absolutely need to be processing from a different level of awareness, a different level of consciousness, and the moon in Gemini is definitely allowing us to do just that. The moon in Gemini going to directly sit across from Mercury, who of course rules over this Gemini energy. Now Mercury is in Sag energy and growing slower, growing a little bit more confused by the day. Why? Because we are in the pre-retrograde shadow period. Mercury will be going retrograde on the 25th. Gemini energy, Sag energy, they sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. Gemini energy, of course, wants to know all the things, wants the receipts, the data, the proof in order to back that up. While the Sag energy is more focused on hope, wishes, belief. And of course, belief can only exist in the absence of not knowing. And we are challenging our mental plane. We're challenging our beliefs. We're challenging our perspectives. And of course, the moon being our heart space and Mercury being our head space, we're not on the same page at all. Again, we need to highlight the differences, the distance, in order for us to bridge that gap. The moon is then going to semi-square, create a little bit of tension and conflict with Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. Mars in the heart and soul of the zodiac in Leo energy, getting ready to kind of get his ass up off of this bench, get back on that playing field. However, we're not there yet. The restlessness, the anxiety, the anxiousness, the frustration definitely rising to the surface of our awareness with this particular energy, with this particular interaction. But we have a lot to learn from these particular thoughts and emotions, which is what we're actually passionate about, what we actually want to change, what we're feeling called to do and called to pursue. We may not be able to take action upon it right now, but the frustration of not being able to take action upon it, that is definitely letting us know what we feel very strongly about, what we're passionate about, what we truly desire. Now, the moon is going to come up to, bump into, team up with, conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings. He is retrograde in this Gemini energy. Again, inner reflection, where we have to take a good look back at all it is that we've done, all it is that we have learned, where it is that we're failing to put into action a lot of that knowledge and wisdom, and where it is that, again, we want to expand our thoughts, our ideas, our perspectives, our opinions, our mental plane. So a conjunction is just as much of an ending as it is a beginning, and we are definitely putting a lot of old, outdated, limiting beliefs behind us. Jupiter, of course, magnifying, turning the volume all the way up on the good. And the good is definitely just around the corner. We are feeling a little bit more hopeful and wishful for things to come. We are feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more optimistic that we have what it takes in order to override that old version of self, those old limiting beliefs, those old heavier emotions, and really set ourselves free. The caution that I'm going to give you here is that Jupiter tends to over-exaggerate whatever state of being we're actually in. And not that it's a bad thing to be over-exaggerated with the good feels like hopefulness and wishfulness and fantasies and all of those good things. However, what we do tend to do is we set ourselves up for disappointment. Why? Because we conjure up this big goal, big vision, big dream, and then we get a little bit disappointed when, of course, reality sets in and we realize that we may have bitten off a little bit more than we could chew. Let me also just say that if you're having a hard time with your thoughts, with your emotions, and they're on a little bit more of the negative side of things, this is going to definitely magnify those particular thoughts and emotions and put you in an over-exaggerated state of thoughts and feels, which of course, going to kind of give you a little bit of confusion, a little bit of delusion on a scale that isn't quite par with reality. So we have to be very careful about that particular energy. And the moon is going to go ahead and sextile Chiron, the wounded healer who was retrograde in Aries energy shortly thereafter. So this is kind of giving us those rose-colored glasses back on in order for us to see this new version of self in the best light. And so, there is this element where we're thinking very differently about who it is that we are, how it is that we're showing up for ourselves, for the people, for the world around us, where it is that we are doing a lot of deep healing work, a lot of growth, a lot of inner realm processing that definitely has us putting a lot of the pain and the trauma and the wounds in the past in order for us to, again, open up our mind, open up our heart space to the strength of this new version of self. The sun in Scorpio energy then going to make a positive interaction with Chiron. So this is a beautiful thing because, of course, the sun is shining very, very brightly in the final degrees of the Scorpio energy as we wrap this season up. Scorpio energy, of course, about change, about transformation. We are definitely the phoenix rising at this particular juncture. And because Chiron kind of represents this identity that we are standing in, this new version of self, kind of focusing in on all that we've grown through, all that we've healed, all of the positives, we are definitely starting to see ourselves and feel ourselves in a new empowerment energy. This is boss up energy. This is ready to do what needs to be done kind of energy. This is kind of detaching ourselves from a lot of the fears, the doubts, the insecurities that we've been sitting in as of late. This is going to feel good. Now, of course, just when we start feeling good, there has to be some sort of pull from the dark force energies in order to pull us on back to that state of paralysis. And we're going to have that particular energy pop off 11:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to take place between Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire in the heart space, the Leo energy, and Jupiter. So we know Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. He is retrograde, again, inner reflection in the Gemini energy, pressurizing us to take a different perspective. Now, here's the thing. We, know that there's going to be some frustration, some restlessness, some anger, some not so nice energies pop off because, again, when Mars is being aspected in not the nice way, he brings out all of the trauma, all of the frustration, all of the childlike tantrum qualities. And because Jupiter over-exaggerates all the situations, good, bad, or otherwise, we're definitely going to have a situation pop off where there is a little bit of enthusiasm on one hand, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of confidence within ourselves for the potential success and let's call it, potential achievement of our goals. However, equally, we are questioning whether or not we can sustain this, whether we can achieve it. There's a lot of fears, doubts, insecurities coming up. Jupiter, because he's over-exaggerating pretty much everything, we are in a place where we could definitely miscalculate, misjudge, especially with what it is that we're committing to. So let's try not to kind of commit to long-term goals, long-term decisions under this influence. It's good to be hype about it. It's good to be excited about it, but we're overestimating the time that it's going to take, the energy that is needed, the focus that is needed. We're overestimating a lot of different variables that, of course, if we make these commitments and decisions under this influence, we are going to have to backpedal and either flake out on it totally or again, set ourselves up for disappointment, for backtracking, for backpedaling, which of course nobody wants to do. This is also an energy that has us kind of getting too ahead of ourselves, way too ahead of ourselves. The Jupiter energy is a magnifier. And because Mars in this Leo energy is heart-led, is ready to make some bold, brave, courageous, dramatic moves in life, we're just kind of overly confident, I would say. And if you act on impulse, you're probably going to create a mess for yourself that nobody absolutely needs to be cleaning up at this particular juncture. So we just want to pace ourselves. And again, when Mars is concerned, that is one of the greatest challenges is pacing ourselves and energy management. So the moon goes ahead, makes a positive interaction with Pluto. We started the day off between the moon and Pluto, making a not nice interaction. This one is definitely a much better interaction. And this is going to put us in an empowerment type of mind frame, an empowerment type of heart space, and especially coming out of that interaction with Mars and Jupiter, we're going to need to hone in a little bit better. We're going to need that boss up empowerment energy. We're going to need to kind of focus in on what needs to be done. And we are kind of feeling a little bit more realistic with what it is that we could actually set out to achieve. The moon is going to make a positive interaction with Uranus, the Great Awakener, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. This is going to bring in an aha moment. This is a download. This is a vision. This is just, the puzzle pieces snapping together, revealing a different plan, a different strategy that we could take to close the door on the old, to detach from the past. This is a particular light bulb moment that once you know, you can't unknow, that once you have this vision, you can't quite, back away from it. It's something that triggers our heart space and head space, something that triggers our curiosity, something that triggers within us that we just know that we have to do it, we have to pursue it, we have to at least try. Now, the moon, of course, is then going to go ahead, make a very harsh interaction with the sun. So anytime that the moon and the sun are coming together, it is going to be very revealing with an aha moment where our wants, needs, and desires are concerned. But of course, a harsh interaction means that we are going to be learning this the hard way. The moon in Gemini energy, again, very divided, kind of at war with itself because of the twin energy. There's 1 foot in the positive land, there's 1 foot in the negative land, 1 foot in our intuition, 1 foot in our reality, 1 foot with logical, practical evidence backing our, let's call it, plans and strategies, while the other foot is heart and intuition based. And so the sun, shining a very bright light in the Scorpio energy, needs a major change and a major transformation to take place. We need to absolutely get clear on what we're passionate about, what we 100% need to be doing at this particular juncture in order to, again, support this new version of self and close the door on the aspects that are preventing us from actually being this new version of self. You cannot heal in the environment in which harmed you, and you cannot emerge as this new version of self when you're constantly around people, places, and things that need you to be stuck in the old version mold. So this is going to bring to light where it is that a change is definitely taking place in our heart space, in our head space, but where there's also resistance to that particular change taking place as well. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Gemini energy, getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Neptune. Neptune, of course, is retrograde in his rulership in Pisces energy. Gemini energy, Pisces energy, they're both mutable signs, thus the square that we're in. And this square is going to highlight the growing pains. And a lot of this is due to the moon in Gemini needing facts, data, proof, evidence here in the physical realm to kind of suggest what is possible for us. While on the other hand, the Pisces energy doesn't need any of that. We just need to have hope. We just need to have a dream, a vision, and a very strong belief that we can manifest anything as long as we have that vision very detailed, we can back it with an emotion, and of course, we put into action the proper plan and strategy to actually bring that vision, goal, and dream to life. So this is a battle of logic and practicality versus feels and intuition. And the growing pain here is that we have to merge both. It does us no favors to only rely on our intellect, because our intellect is very limited to our physical environment and what is possible in that physical environment. And of course, intuition and feels, if you throw yourself all the way into that, you're not connected to reality at all. So we have to balance this particular scale out about following our heart space, listening to our intuition, having those hopes, visions, and dreams for a better life, a better future that, far surpasses what we're currently looking at in our physical realm, but also taking our brains with us, realizing that we have to be logical and practical in our planning and our strategy and our methodology on how it is that we're going to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. So a little bit of confusion, a little bit of delusion, definitely setting in with this particular aspect. And this is the last aspect of the day. And it is also the last aspect that the moon is going to have before going void, of course, 11:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That moon is going void, and we are going to sit in that until early Monday morning.